Malena, apparently they can see and hear us, but they haven't started yet.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, we are. Well, good evening. I'd like to call the committee of the whole meeting to order. And our first item on the agenda is a discussion regarding the salary compensation study prepared by McGrath Human Resource Group. And I'm going to turn it over to the county executive, Malicki.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, you're going to hear the introduction to the salary study, and there's some things I want you to consider. One of them would be that the cost of not conducting a study would have been greater than actually doing the study. Those in business understand that the cost of turnover is great. Losing institutional knowledge is an issue. When we lose experienced employees, we're not aligned with the market. We lose institutional knowledge and productivity, which ultimately affects the services that we provide. County government work in a lot of areas is very difficult, and the compensation for it should be appropriate. Many of our employees are 24/7. The corrections officers, the YDCC employees, the snowplow operators, they were on call often, right? And this year they got a workout. These roles require resilience, professionalism, and a strong commitment to public service. And one of the things that I've been pushing for is increased customer service to our taxpayers. So as you look at this and you look at the salary study, consider those things, okay? Thanks.
Thank you. Director Street.
Hello, good evening. So tonight we're here to discuss everybody's favorite topic, salary studies. Salary studies are both essential and challenging for every organization. Why are they so difficult? It's because we know that people are who provide the services that make our systems work, and we want to pay them appropriately. But we're also challenged with the reality of our budgetary constraints. But it is our responsibility to ensure that we remain competitive enough to recruit, retain, and support a qualified workforce. For decades, keeping pace with peer counties has been an ongoing challenge. While constant comparison is not the goal, my role is to help the county executive and this board make data-driven decisions by periodically validating not only our wages, but our benefits and our organizational structure, so that the county leadership can responsibly support our workforce and essential services that we provide to Racine County. Wages represent the county's single largest expense, which makes the salary study an essential tool for responsible decision-making. It provides clarity about where we are competitive and where improvements might be needed. It tells us where compression might exist and where job responsibilities have evolved beyond the original classification. A third-party, data-driven study equips the board with reliable information so that compensation decisions can be made by this board can be strategic and defensible. Just to recap how we got to this point where we are today, on June 19th of 2024, after receiving approval from the county executive, I requested funding to conduct a salary study from the Finance and HR Committee. On July 8th of 2024, the board approved that request unanimously through Resolution 2024-20. The contract was signed in late November of 2024, and the work began in January of 2025. So before we hear tonight's presentation, I also want to give you all a little context about our current salary arrangement. So every single position at the county is assigned with a pay grade, and that pay grade has a defined salary that includes a minimum and a midpoint and a maximum. Over time, our compensation structure has become increasingly complex. For example, when the Public Health Division was incorporated into the county in 2022, we retained their existing pay structure, and that added 13 new pay grades to our system. Also, when we made changes to the Behavioral Health Division to create credential-based pay progression, we added another 13 pay grades. In addition, we have been addressing compensation concerns on a case-by-case basis rather than an overall comprehensive look. which has resulted in additional pay grades being created whenever positions fell behind the market and required immediate attention. This study will evaluate 886 full-time positions across the county. It does not include deputies or command staff or elected officials. This process has been comprehensive, collaborative, and it's involved the county executive, department heads, elected constitutional officers, and our consultant with McGrath. The presentation you're going to hear tonight will provide the foundation for determining our next steps, including an overview of methodology, market analysis, and recommendations. Following this presentation, the final report will be shared with the board. And implementation options, including the fiscal impact, will be considered at the Finance and Human Resources Committee on March 4th, with first reading on March 10th and a second reading on March 24th. So with that, I will turn it over to Milena Halverson-Mays with McGrath, who conducted this study and is here to report tonight. She is with us virtually tonight, but will be in person at the next FHR meeting on March 4th. So thanks. I'll turn it over to you, Milena.
Very good. And good evening. I apologize that I could not be there in person this evening. I'm actually in Wasilla, Alaska, and I'll be heading back to Wisconsin here in just a few short hours. And I have to just say that your county executive and your HR director, with their opening remarks, they absolutely have gotten to the essence of this particular topic. I do have a PowerPoint presentation, and I do believe that there's going to be somebody who's going to be navigating that for me. And while somebody is getting that queued up, I do want to quickly just say a big thank you to the Human Resources Department personnel. They have been part of these meetings since the beginning of this process, and it really has been quite an extensive process because you are such a large organization and you're very, very complex. And so there have been multiple meetings along the way. I also want to give a big thanks to the department heads, the department head elected officials as well. I have had nothing less than 2 meetings. In some cases, I've had up to 4 meetings with some of these departments just to talk through particular issues, and they've been very gracious in those conversations and made sure that that we had a very good understanding from both sides about clarifications on positions. And then lastly, I want to thank the employees because they were part of this process. And well, we're going to talk about that here when I explain my methodology. We had your employees give us information, very specific information about what their position responsibilities are so that we could incorporate that into our recommendations. All right, so it looks like we've got that queued up. And if we want to just advance to the next slide very quickly, and I'm not going to belabor this, there's always a question about why we should be doing a compensation study. Compensation studies, the goal of that is to develop a structured system for you. That structured system, we want that to be aligned to the comparable competitive market. If it's not aligned with the market, you're going to have turnover, and that is going to be costly to the organization. And given that we all want to make sure that we are transparent and that we have objective methodologies with our processes, we have some very specific objective foundational tools that we use in our studies so that we are evaluating all of the market, we are evaluating all of the positions with the same lens, and we don't have what the county currently has, which is a little bit of a Band-Aid approach. You have a lot of various systems that are being Band-Aid taped together. What we really want to do for you is to give you one overarching system for the county to be able to maintain with all of your classifications going forward. So with that in mind, Looks like we are at, yep, let's skip ahead here to human capital. All right, so there's a lot of that's going on in the market right now, and it's very evident in that in the past 5 or 6 years that public sector has struggled with recruitment and retention. We know that by looking at the 10-year numbers that actually started before COVID. COVID really did have quite an impact, and it led to a lot of people being age eligible to retire. They were hanging around their organizations, and then COVID hit, and folks just decided that they were going to hang it up. And so we saw an acceleration of turnover within the public sector, and there have been continued challenges over the years that for some reason we just don't feel like public sector is getting ourselves caught up. Some of the reasons for that, and number one is compensation. Now, compensation didn't always used to be number one on the total number of reasons why a person leaves their position, but it is number one in most surveys at this point. So number one is compensation. Number two is private sector options. And I will say that you also are in a region where you have a lot of public sector options. You have state systems, university systems, a lot of other large municipalities in your area, and you're saturated with opportunity, both private and public. Some employees view public sector as having lack of growth opportunity. Part of that is because we don't do a good job marketing ourselves in public sector. And so whether that is a perception or a reality, there's just is a big feeling that I don't have a lot of opportunity, so I'm not going to stay very long. Poaching is a very effective tool at this point, and I will say that probably your HR department can attest to that whether you're trying to grab people from other organizations or you running the risk that you lose these individuals. You spend a lot of time and resource training individuals, making sure that they understand your policies and procedures and protocols for Racine County, and then when they take that skill set and they leave, you have all of that, like your county executive said, you have all of that institutional knowledge that is walking away, but then you also have all of the financial training and development that you put into that human capital that's also then taking all of that and going and working for a new organization. So we can tell that things are starting to settle out a little bit in the market, at least in very specific industries. There are other industries that are not settling out quite yet, but overall we are seeing things that are starting to calm down. But we consider this to be very fragile. That is not to say that everything has calmed down. We do know that there has been some changes in qualifications, minimum qualifications. Sometimes that means that organizations have to spend additional time with training of their workforce. So that maybe it's a little bit of a longer learning curve. There still is very hard to fill positions. Public safety is one of those. Corrections, especially dispatch, very difficult. Your equipment operators, planners, engineers. I mean, we can keep going down that list. So I cannot say overarchingly that all position classifications have settled out. We do still continue to have some challenges. And overall, more and more organizations are starting to get worried about their retention. And we're going to look at your retention here on a grid here in, actually, if we want to advance to the next slide. So all of this information that I'm talking about or that I'm sharing with you here this evening is going to be contained in this final report that Sarah was talking about. And I asked the county to not release that report yet until I had an opportunity to at least give you an introduction to some of this information, because when you get that final report, it's going to be about 60 pages in length. And I want you to have some context to it because it can be a little bit overwhelming. That's why there's going to be multiple meetings where we're going to cover various topics along the way. The demographics that you see on the screen, this is in the final report so that you will be able to go back and look at more of the detail that we have. What we do is we spend time looking at the employees that are included in your study, and we have mapped them out. And so this is a graph of all of your employees by age and how long they've worked for the county. Now, your overall tenure back in 2025, the average tenure was 6.7 years. The national average for public sector, local government, excluding school districts, is 6.4 years, which means you are aligning right at the national average. Unfortunately, we do not have state numbers. We only have federal numbers. But what's really interesting, so that's a good job. Good job. Kudos to the county for that. But then what we did was we took a little bit of a deeper dive into, what is your actual employee demographic looking like? And when you look at the age of your employees, what you can quickly see here is that your employees, those individuals who are age 50 and over, they are the ones that have the largest years of service, anywhere from 10 years up to 14, 15 years of service. As those individuals start to retire out, we do run that risk that number is going to decrease, okay? Now, when we look at how many folks are age eligible to retire, you've only got about 13% that are age 55 and over. But what that tells you now is that you know that you are going to have at least 13% of your workforce that's going to be gone over the course of the next decade simply by retirement. That excludes what is happening in terms of just voluntary separation with employment. And when we're talking about voluntaries, what we really like to focus on is the age category 40 and under. That is your much more mobile workplace. And if they have a skill set and the community next door is paying an extra 50 cents an hour, they are not necessarily committed to Racine County as an organization. They are going to go to the community next door and earn that extra 50 cents an hour. And that is really why you want to make sure that you have real aligned, competitively aligned salary ranges so that you can hold on to that human capital. Now, you have 52% of your workforce is under the age of 40, which means you are at high risk for a lot of mobility out of the organization. So really, when we think about what is it that the county needs to focus on, I would say that it really is the retention of the staff that you've got. Certainly you do have vacancies. We want to make sure that you can get those backfilled. But as your HR director had talked about, they have been responsive on an individual case-by-case basis with positions. And, so that has helped you along the way. Your bigger goal here, I feel, is going to be the retention. And what that is going to mean for you is getting this implemented, managing it, and being able to have the mechanisms in place to be able to allow your employees to advance through those ranges going forward in the future. And if we can just move on to the next slide. The other area that I just want to give you a little bit of context before I get into the market findings is compensation philosophy. And again, this is more of a foundational item as we walk into some of the charts and the graphs that I'm going to show you. Compensation philosophy is really the policy item or the policy perspective from the county of where in the world do you want to align within the market. Most organizations, all organizations have three options. The first option is that you can be a leader in the market, and you don't necessarily have to be the top leader, but you want to, you want for people to be looking at your wages and try to catch up with you. So that is going to be like the Waukesha's of your region that really are setting the tone of the compensation. You can be average to the market, knowing that, yes, we want to be competitive, but we do have some financial considerations. And so average really ends up being the goal for most organizations within the state. And then you do have some organizations that cannot even be at the average. They are a training ground. They know that. They are set up for that. And it comes with its own unique set of challenges. So, some of the questions that I have asked a along the way is, where does Racine County want to be? And I believe that, if you were to ask all of the department heads, they are going to say that they really do want to be higher than average, because you do have some very complex systems, operations that have to be carried out for your constituents, and average sometimes can be somewhat of a struggle given who your comparators are in your market. But with that said, what we did establish for the county, at least to get started with this new system, is average compensation, which means that we've aligned you to the 50th percentile. So when you see the roster of who the comparators were that we used to build your market, the goal really was for Racine County to be somewhere around the middle. And that is an important piece of information, because you might have an employee that comes to you and says, I can still earn more at the community next door. And the response to that is, yes, that is possible, that is going to happen. The goal has not been for Racine to be the top payer. The goal is for Racine County to at least be a seat at the table, be a consideration if you are looking to, take employment with Racine, or, if you're considering leaving Racine. So we wanted to put you at least at the average. I think a long-term goal for the county could be something above the average, but there would have to be some financial planning that would have to be put into place in order to accomplish that. All right, let's move forward then. Let's talk about the methodology, and then we're going to talk about the market findings. So we did have a very interactive process. That process involved meeting with your county executive, with all of your department directors, to gain an understanding of the programs and the services that they offer to the organization, and then we talked about each of those positions. We did a paper review of your compensation systems, your job descriptions, your policies, and your benefits. And then we also then went out to the market to collect that market data. At the same time that we were doing that, we asked employees to complete what's called a position questionnaire. That document gives us more detailed information about what their responsibilities are, just in case job descriptions might be a little bit out of date. Then that helps us make sure that your classifications are going to be accurate here once you get into the new system. We ran analysis on all of that and developed our recommendations. And then after that, we once again sat down and met with all of the department directors so that they had an introduction to the recommendations, and they had an opportunity to offer feedback. Sometimes we agreed, sometimes we disagreed on what that feedback was, but it was really an opportunity for them to really do a deep dive, asking some really challenging questions at times about why did we do this instead of that. But that is our quality control process. We want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to ask those questions that they feel need to be asked. So with that, let's talk about your market findings. And let's just skip right ahead. I'm going to, this is a really small list, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on it. This is in the report. This is the list of the comparable organizations that we use to collect your external market data. You can see that it is quite a comprehensive list. It is all within the state of Wisconsin, although there was a little bit of data that we did collect, or we attempted to collect, out of Northern Illinois that was specific to public health. But at the end of the day, they didn't actually provide us any of that information. So we did not get 100% data collection. That is actually pretty common at this point, but we did get a real good, robust outcome. And so we got good data to be able to benchmark as many positions as possible. So if we want to advance, and let's go right into let's skip this one and I'll just describe it on the next slide. So when we go out to the market, we collect the minimum, the midpoint, and the maximum of each of the salary ranges of each of the positions that we attempt to benchmark, which we attempt to benchmark 100% of the positions as possible. We also collect a fourth data point, and that fourth data point is understanding what your incumbents are actually earning wage-wise in comparisons to the external market. And so there will be extra graphs and charts in the report that I don't have here today. When we do this analysis, then we run analysis on each of the minimum, midpoint, maximum for each of those positions, and then we put it into what's called a comp ratio or a comparison ratio. It compares Racine County against that entire listing of all of their salary data for each of the positions, and we want the number that results from it to at least be a 50% comp ratio. What that means is if Racine County is paying $20 an hour and the market is paying $20 an hour, you are aligned and you are at the market. And we have a plus minus about 5%. So you can go down to about a 45% and still be aligned to the market. But if you're anything lower than that, then we would deem that to not be competitive to the market. So what I've done for simplicity purposes is I've color coded everything for you. And in the chart that you see here, what I've done is I have taken the county's published minimums of your salary ranges, and we have now identified what that looks like against the rest of the market and their published minimums. And overall, we find that 24% of your positions minimums are aligned to the market. 15% are at risk. They still would be considered market aligned, but they are really close to not being market aligned anymore, which is why we color code them a little bit differently. But overall, 60% of your positions are too far below market in order to be aligned and to be competitive. So that's almost 2/3 of your positions. That's not the whole story. That's just the minimums. And so if we advance to the next slide, very quickly, we're going to look at your midpoint. I guess we're going to look right at your maximum. Oh, there we go. Your midpoint. Your midpoint now shows that you've got about 27% of your positions that are aligned at your market or at the midpoint. And then if we can advance to the maximum right away, the maximum is showing that you've got about 22% of your positions that are aligned to the market. Now, this is a really important number because, one of the things that we want to take a look at is, again, for retention, what is that earnings potential that they have with Racine County versus those other organizations that they might go work at. And for you, about 1 in 5 of your positions are going to be in the mix, but the rest of your positions are going to fall short at the maximum, which means they will never have the earnings potential that they have at other organizations. And so that is, that's a really important feature here for you. If we can go on to the next slide, the one piece of that I wanna, some of these charts, they're going to look like, wow, we're really, this looks really challenging for us. The good news is, and we're not going to talk about it here this evening, but we will be talking about it at the next meeting when we're talking about the dollars that are associated with this. Your human resources department has been tried to be responsive on a case-by-case basis per position as the need has percolated up, as the metric has identified it. And so what we did was we took a look at where your existing personnel are in regards or in relation to the market minimum. So if we were to say, okay, we're just going to be using the market minimum, how far away are they from being within market? And what we found is that 63% of your positions are falling pretty close to the ranges, and they are not necessarily going to have a lot of movement within their dollars. And so what that means then is that even though you're going to see quite a bit of movement in your ranges and fixing of your system, the cost of this is not going to be as great. And that is because you have tried to be responsive on a case-by-case basis. All right, let's go ahead and move forward then. And let's talk very quickly about the current systems. And Sarah, your HR director, she talked about this a little bit at the very beginning. And this is one of the complications that you have. You have a broken system right now, and that's because you have multiple salary schedules. And that in itself is not necessarily the problem. But what you have, though, is that the structure within each of those schedules is all very, very different. And so it's very difficult to try to have internal alignment between positions that they are sitting on different salary schedules, but yet they might have some very similar characteristics. When you look at this chart, and this chart will also be in the final report here, you can see that there is a column that says spread. The spread is the distance from your minimum to your maximum. So you can see here that I'm just going to use the public works schedule as an example, that they have a very, very narrow range from 4 to 13% from minimum to maximum. They're going to top out very, very quickly, and they don't have any earnings capacity or earnings potential once they hit that. And that grows some frustration, and then people look to leave. Whereas on the non-exempt schedule, you have positions that have upwards of a spread of 50% from minimum to maximum, which means they have a very wide range. So they have more opportunity for some progression. What you have here is inconsistency, and there is a feeling of inequity that goes along with that, because not all positions have the same opportunities. And so when we put all of these together, we could see you are highly compressed. Your salary ranges don't necessarily make sense, and HR is doing the best job that they can with the system that they have. And so really one of the goals for us very, very quickly was, we need to give you a new system, and it really needs to be one model that the HR department will be able to manage. Let's go ahead and progress. All right, let's keep going here. I want to be able to give people a chance to ask questions. Okay, so the other area here is your position analysis. And so we did take a greater look at the classifications, the job titles. And when we do this, and you have a lot of different positions, as your HR director indicated, when we do this position analysis, we evaluate the positions in 13 different areas, and those areas are listed here. So, the big takeaway on this is that this is a very data-driven process. The market data is very data-driven, but so is that position analysis. We take out the person. We don't consider the person in any of this process. I don't know who any of these individuals are. We are looking at the information that the employees provided us in that position questionnaire, and that was reviewed by the managers before it was submitted to McGrath. And then we run them through this position analysis process. Now, during our quality control meetings that I had with the department directors, sometimes those items came up where they were saying, look, this position does this, they do that, they do this. And I, pull up the position questionnaire, and I said, well, all right, we, maybe, some items weren't captured on that position questionnaire. The employee did not give us all of this information, so let's revisit the position again. And so this was very, very important information in developing not only the compensation structure, but then how we are going to put the positions onto the new salary schedule. So let's go ahead and advance. The other area, just so you know, as we built the model for you, not only then are we looking at the market, and then we're looking at the position questionnaires or the position analysis, is compression. And that is because we do need to make sure that we have proper separation between, within a department, you might have some levels, making sure that those levels are objectively defined and they warrant separation. But we've also got rank structures here. You've got union, where we have to be looking at union to non-union. And so we did take a really close look at that level of separation that is needed. And so that is yet another tool that we use when we're developing these salary ranges. So with that, let's go ahead and let's talk about the Let's go ahead and just skip right on over that. Let's talk about the recommendations. So what we've done for you is, in consideration of the market, the position questionnaires, the compression, and then there's a fourth category that you're going to read about in the report, which is that internal comparability, and that is the quality control checks meetings that I had with the department directors. What we've done for you is we've created a single range system that has been broken down into 4 sections. So when you look at this, it's going to look like there's actually 4 different salary schedules, but they all are interrelated and they tie to one another. So HR is going to have to take care of the general schedule as a core, and then automatically the advanced medical, the on-call, and the seasonal structures will automatically follow suit, and they will be updated properly. The salary ranges have been built on the 50th percentile. And within that now we have 23 unique pay grades. The spread is between 20% and 40%. That feels like a wide spread, but the 20% spread is for your on-call and your seasonal positions. Your general schedule has the wider range of that 40% spread that is much more equitable. It's for all of the general employee positions that you have at the county. And we did make sure that all of the pay grades have between 7 and 10% separation to make sure that our compression is satisfied and that we are not causing any unnecessary compression between ranks, between respective pay grades. With this model, we still have an expectation that employee is going to progress through the ranges based on performance. And then we also know that there's going to be a fiscal ability to pay. That does not necessarily go away. We will have recommendations for you. And if you advance to the next slide, I think we could talk about those here. Actually, let's skip over that. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. And let's talk about managing the system. We know that you only have a finite number of dollars each year, but with that, we do have some recommendations within the report that's going to talk about what you need to do to maintain this model. A lot of resource has been put into getting the model here. Now, what do you do to maintain it so that this can be a model that you can use for the next 10, 15 years? We want you to utilize a set economic indicator when you are identifying those adjustments that you need to have on an annual basis. What that is going to do then, it's going to move all of the salary ranges so that you continue to be aligned to the 50th percentile of your respective market. We also then need the employees to be carrying forward with that as well, and that they should be receiving a COLA, and then they also are receiving their merit or performance adjustments each year. It will absolutely be up to the county board financially to adopt those dollars in your budget process. If you do a market update, which is like a mini market, it's a mini market study, and it does not usually take quite the amount of time that our initial study here for you did. But if you do one of these every 3 to 5 years, you are typically able to capture the nuances within specific industries that might change because the market is ever fluctuating. So, we can say, reasonably that if, Sarah's team is able to manage this model for the next 4 years or so, we would be recommending, let's just go out to the market on that 5th year. We do have some organizations that they're doing it every other year. They don't want to fall behind in any way. Every other year, I think, is a little bit of aggressive. I do believe that every 3 to 5 years is an acceptable amount of time. I know that we're running short on time, and I do also just want to talk about that we have other recommendations in the report, and in the next section, of my slide presentation, we are talking about benefits because we did do a review of that. And I am the first person to acknowledge that that people aren't always here for the dollars. They're not always here just for the wages, that the benefits have to count for something, and they absolutely do. We look at this from a total rewards perspective. And so, you know, what we are attempting to give you fixes for is the wages. We're giving you some opportunities as it pertains to benefits, but you also have the well-being of your employees. How are you helping take care of them? Professional development, what opportunities do they have? And recognition. This is a very hard job. It's sometimes a very thankless job, and employees want to feel like they have meaning in their positions. And that makes really the total employee experience, even though our focus really is on wages and benefits. So very quickly, and this is going to be in the last part of the report, there's an entire benefits section. I do have some information, if we can advance the slide, on your health insurance. A little bit more time with that because those are the big key areas. Your health insurance, your retirement, and the time off. Those are the top three. Now we all, you are all in the WRS. All of your competitors are in the WRS as well. So there's not a lot to talk about that other than to say that we are starting to see some contributions to deferred comp, employer match contributions, just simply to give something a little bit more in the retirement, in retirement realm. Your health insurance, when you read through this part of the report, please keep in mind this was from 2025. We do see some opportunities there. You're going to find that you are positioned pretty competitively by premium for the employees. You start to fall a little bit in competitiveness when it comes to the family premiums, but you're going to be able to see where you stack up against all of those comparators that I showed you in that sheet. But the other thing that we then do is we take a look at your premiums with your deductibles and how does that rank, simply because that becomes that's the employee cost, as well as the employees and a maximum out-of-pocket experience. So this is a catastrophic event that they would have had in their life. We hope that none of your employees experience that, but you may be interested in seeing, all right, well, what really truly is that out-of-pocket cost that the employees might suffer if something like that were to happen. There's some opportunities also there for you. I don't think that you're in a dire situation with your health insurance at all. It's just one of those areas where you could take a look at, is there an opportunity for some improvement or, an opportunity to put a little bit more into the HSA, and that is going to work, towards making you be positioned a little bit more competitively in the market than you are here today. You're also going to find in that area, I do have some recommendations for time off, which is on the next slide. We did take a look at your vacation time, and your holidays are fine. There's some opportunities with your vacation time. This does fall into the difference between exempt and non-exempt, and you might decide that you want to have one system of time off, or at least a vacation time, so that as positions might move between exempt and non-exempt, because sometimes that changes very, very quickly with the federal government interpretations, then it's not as significant of a deal on the benefits side. And I do think that you are ripe for a PTO opportunity, which is a general overview, a general bucket of time. We call it paid time off, where you don't have sick time, or your general leave. You don't have vacation time. You just have one balance of time off to be able to navigate. And that actually works out really well for the new workforce coming in. The other and the last part of this whole process is that we've given you some opportunities, and these would be more strategic, long-term, as you are looking at, is there anything small that we can offer our employees to just help sweeten the pot? It's not going to bring them to Racine County, perhaps it might help keep them there and, help them understand that they are a very valuable employee. And so there is a list of opportunity benefits that you could look to add down the road. Some of them are pretty big, some of them are relatively modest, but it's certainly an interesting read because these really are areas that other employers are looking at this point, because they are looking for what can we offer our employees that maybe the next door neighbor is not, just to give us a little bit of a competitive edge. With that, I know that we are running out of time, and I apologize. I love talking about compensation, and I look forward to the rest of the meetings. But I'd like to be able to answer any questions if there are any here this evening ahead of you receiving that final report.
Are there any questions? Supervisor Horth.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would first say that I thought the presentation was extremely comprehensive. I think it gives us all a lot to look at, to be honest. My questions right now really are going to have to wait until I'm able to see all of the detail that went into this. But I would share with the county executive and the department heads that one thing I think we can see will probably happen is there's going to be an increase in costs as a result of this and when they get put into place. If that is in fact the case, I would, since we're not going to have decisions on how this gets impacted for another 30 to 60 plus days, I would be recommending that all of the departments are looking now for where there's areas that they might be able to offset some of those increases, because they're going to happen. And our budget was set for this year, and we knew this was coming up. So I would just encourage that that's something that we don't wait until end of March, April, whenever the final date is that it gets approved, that we're going to then start to say, oh, now we got to do something about it because we lose another 60 days in that process. So that's the only thing I would offer right now. Thank you. Very, very nice job, by the way. Excellent explanations.
Thank you.
Supervisor Rossi.
Thank you, Chairman. This may be a silly question, but did I miss the dollar value attached to this? We're not talking about that right now. I just wanted to understand.
We're not, it was more of we're not talking about that right now. That'll be on the 4th.
Okay. Second question, since we've got the opportunity, in the full report, does it compare with the other adjacent counties, or at least some of the ones that you contrasted what you're proposing for our county? Does it show the adjacent counties retention rates, turnover rates as well?
It does not, no.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Supervisor Wish.
He was first. Sorry. Okay, so in your comparisons, I'm gathering, and I don't like to assume anything, but you're comparing everything on a government level, and there was no private comparison to what the private market does.
Very good question. Actually, when the data set that we use to build your salary ranges were public sector, and that will come from the list. We also do go out and do, at the time, we did an open source. That open source then will help us understand, all right, what is the nursing field starting at minimums? What is your private sector equipment operators? Things on that line. That information, unless you use a very specific data survey tool, we can't necessarily incorporate that into our data analysis. We can understand what the private sector is paying, but we're not necessarily looking to be able to attain that. The private sector, depending upon the type of position that we're talking about, oftentimes is comparing to the public sector's 75th percentile. And a lot of times that's when we're talking about IT, we're talking about engineers, we're talking about, transferable positions to the private sector. And it's a conversation. It is, not to say that that we can't have that conversation. But normally when we go there, we're usually going there because we need to be talking about elevating those salary ranges. And I think that we need to be very cautious about that, given the fiscal, the fiscal impacts for the county here over the course of implementation and beyond.
Okay, one last thing. Is this a merit-based system, meaning a performance review, annual review, and then those individuals getting an increase and not just giving a blanket total 2.5 or 3% blanket to everybody?
So the progression through the model really should be twofold. So when you adjust, let's just say that you adjust salary ranges by 2%, and let's say that you are midway through your salary range. When you put a 2% onto that range, the employee basically loses 2%. So that merit adjustment that they get then really becomes, well, I'm using my merit just to try to keep up with my COLA. So we want for you to do a cost of living plus then also the merit. So the cost of living just helps the employee keep positioned what they have previously earned, and then the merit ends up being above and beyond that. So it's really two different mechanisms for two different reasons.
I've got lots of other questions, but I don't know that anyone other than the government or government entity gives COLA or cost of living increases. The private sector doesn't. I've been in the private sector for 40 years. I've never gotten a cost of living increase on top of a merit increase. Just my thoughts.
Thank you.
Supervisor Kolb.
Since the study started, a lot has changed, with like the national quit rate and stuff. Is that something we can take into a factor, that there aren't as many openings because the quit rate is down quite a bit from when this was taking place?
Well, I think, what we're viewing this as is not something that is being reactive to your market pressures. We have to understand that there's market pressures, but I wouldn't necessarily I wouldn't react to that necessarily, because what we've done here is, number one, we've created a new system for you to help fix the system that is legitimately broken. And then number two is to align the positions to the market. The market's not going to go down. The market might stabilize, and it may not advance as fast as it was with 7%, 8%, economic increases. We think that we have passed that. But it doesn't stop the fact that you need a new system and that we have market aligned you. What the responsiveness that you would be suggesting would be, how do we manage it going forward now? And what economic indicator do we use? Because we still are going to you still will have some industries that are challenged. Administrative assistants, maybe not challenged as much as your corrections officers, probably very, very highly challenged. Yeah.
Any further questions? All right. Did you want to? Okay. So this will be back on the agenda for the March 4th meeting with the whole study, correct? Supervisor Chairman Trotter.
Yeah, it will incorporate the details. Our provider of the presentation this evening will be here in the chambers, I think, and it's going to be broadcast live if we are able to set it up with the obstacles that may be present. So yes, those that can attend on the 4th, please come to the FHR meeting on the 4th.
It'll be down here in the chambers.
Correct.
Well, thank you for your presentation there.
You're very welcome. We will see you in a few weeks.
All righty.
Good night.
Good night. Any Motion to adjourn, anybody? We are adjourned. Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order for the county board. If the clerk could take the roll.
Supervisors Kelly and Spencer are excused. Supervisor Miller is attending virtually and everyone else is in the chambers.
Then customarily, we have one of our supervisors lead us in the opening prayer. Supervisor McReynolds, could you lead us tonight?
Dear God, please provide us the wisdom and strength to make wise and good decisions for the people of Racine County. Please keep all our law enforcement safe and all other first responders safe and healthy. God, please give Supervisor Kelly the strength to stay strong as she fights her battle. Amen.
Amen. And the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And just from all.
Item number 4, public comments pursuant to the section 2-71 of the Racine County Court of Ordinances. Each speaker shall be allotted to 3 minutes, maximum 3 minutes. Are there any public comments out there? Seeing none. Item number 5, capital project status update on the behavioral health building and the public safety building, 911 infrastructure. Who do we have here? There we go. Come on. Good evening.
Good evening. Well, it's good to see everyone again. I'm Gary Suko. Met you a few months ago, I guess. So you're putting the slideshow up, Travis? Or?
He's got-
With me today, Mary Collins is with Galbane Building Company. She's a project executive. She's with us today. We also have our ace, Mike Elzinga here. Knows a lot about them facilities. All right. So I'll be providing an update on the behavioral health building. This first slide shows the exterior rendering. You saw that last time. Following, we'll have some aerial photographs taken Friday, February 15th, and that'll illustrate the current exterior. So we can go to the second one. That's this aerial photo there. This is the south elevation with the main public entrance located right in the middle. Several trades actively working in the area. Sure Construction is completing the masonry work. Glenn Dicker's installing the windows, and Waukesha Air and Vapor is installing the air and vapor barrier system. But a lot different than the last time you've seen it, huh? Took off a significant update. We'll go to the next slide. That's the north elevation. Or the back, that's the back side of the building there. You can see the homes, that's the back of it. Masonry work is nearing completion on the east side. Windows have already been installed on the west side and in the central portion. The remaining areas will be finished with metal clad panel cladding. We'll go to slide 4. These photos show both the east and west elevations. The roofing membrane has been installed. It's complete on the west side. It's currently underway on the east roof. The lighter gray material, the material you see that's visible is the vapor barrier, which is installed beneath the roof membrane. The vapor barrier is approximately 95% complete in the central area there. So that's, you can sort of see that lighter gray on the top. Slide 5. This is the west sud courtyard comparison. Do you see the rendering there on the left and where we are right now? Compares the current construction to the original rendering. Masonry is complete. Window frames along with most of the glass have been installed. The metal panel installation will be complete. We'll complete the remaining unfinished areas there. So it's taken on a nice look. Slide 6. These interior photos show progress within the sud areas. Drywall installation has begun on the soffits and bathroom walls. Door frames are installed. You can see in the middle there, that door frame. And the fireplace has been framed, installed, and vented. The city of Racine has completed inspections of in-wall electrical, mechanical, and plumbing systems, and ceiling framing is now underway. Next slide. These photos highlight the SUD support areas, including the staff station, staff support office, and the SUD laundry room. Wall roughing is complete in these spaces, and drywall installation is scheduled to begin. This is the main entry area. Wall roughing is currently underway. In the photo on the left, you can see the second floor landing. Stair installation will occur after the wall roughing and drywall are complete. The stairs will be on the right side going up. It is really a neat entrance when you walk in. You see all the wood up on the ceiling up there, and it has a really nice look to it when you go in there with that height. Slide 9. Back of house areas. These photos show the back of house spaces, including the boiler room and stairwells. Overhead piping installation continues. Stair installation in both stairwells have recently completed. So some of you, well, I don't know how many of them have been out there, but we were using scaffolding to get up there. Now we have stairs. Next slide. Second floor and public areas. Here we see the second floor conference room and the pre-function space, as well as the public restrooms. Wall roughing activities are currently underway in all these areas. It's a very nice conference room, large. The next slide. We'll be able to show progress comparisons to these renderings for both the SUD and sale areas. Just wanted to show you those again as well. We'll go to the project schedule. We remain in that red area, the building construction phase. You can imagine winter conditions have been challenging. We had them early snowstorms and then those extended periods of freezing temperature impacted the exterior of the work. But despite this, we are targeting completion of the roofing by the end of February and full enclosure by the end of April. So that's where we stand right now. So sort of a quick timeline, and we're going to go into the budget. We're finalizing procurement of owner-provided items that includes IT, audiovisual systems, security equipment, the television service provider, furniture and special equipment such as laundry and staff break room items. Those have been finalized. So if you look at this project, we at the bi-monthly, or as noted in the county board's most recent bi-monthly large capital project status report, we are tracking at a projected 36.1 million. Today, the project continues to track at approximately 36.1 million, inclusive of contingencies and a $500,000 allowance for potential related impacts. So we are confident that, Galbane has been closely working with this tariff exposure. And please report that that projected impact is going to be well below the allocated 500,000. The project's only 45% complete, so while not all materials and equipment have been received, it's still too early to safely reallocate all those contingency savings. But we will be under budget on this project. As previously noted, the county executive has directed the project team to aggressively pursue savings so that any unexpended funds can be redirected to other capital projects rather than additional scope on this project. So we're staying with that course. We're cutting and everywhere where we can to keep this project under budget. We'll continue to follow that direction, maintain a high level of confidence, and that the project, we are very confident the project will come in under budget. So that slide shows you that. We're going to open it up for questions. And I have Mary and Mike here to help answer questions as well.
Are there any questions?
Yes.
Supervisor Rossi.
Thank you, Chairman. I gotta say that was an excellent presentation that knocked out 90% of the questions I was gonna have here. So thank you very much, Gary, and any other members of the team that helped put that together. This next question I have then is, what is the total committed cost? What was actually paid out so far?
Paid to this point in time, Gwen? Do we have that number?
I just turned my computer off, but I can turn it back on if you want me to.
It's all right. If I could at least have that emailed out then. About 15 million? Oh, All right, good.
Okay.
And then the second question is just total change orders. Just wondering where the project sits right now. Just trying to track it. Budget, staying on budget was done
Yeah,
by.
you had all those, well, several hundred, at least at the YDCC. We're probably on confirmed 14 or what?
Right now are credits. So there have not.
And how many has there been though total? How many?
Hey, could you come up to the microphone?
Okay, I will, I'm gonna get the answer here. No, total number. Is it like 14?
14 or 15?
Yeah, so I said 14. So change orders are at about 14 or 15. And the value of those change orders is a credit.
Perfect. And then if I may,
One more, you got it.
the nature of these change orders, was it material savings or are these like bulletin related changes?
Well, they're all issued as bulletins as their scope changes, but they were material changes where we've found deficiencies in some of the materials or changed some of the fixtures or whatnot.
We did a lot of value engineering items in there that came into play. There was at least, I'd say 8 to 10 items there that created that change orders, which were all credits. And then some items along the way where we, it's minor things, the counters from courts to this, and every one of them we ended up being credits.
Excellent. Thank you.
Supervisor Horth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to echo Supervisor Rossi's comment. Very nice presentation. It's informative, brings things right to the forefront for all of us to understand where we're at. I have two very simple ones. When I saw the budget up there, one line I didn't see was contingency. Is there contingency as a part of this project? Because it didn't appear up there.
Yes, there is.
Yes, yes.
How much was the contingency set up at?
Could you please go back one slide? The owner's
There you
reserve,
go.
750,000 is our contingency.
I'm sorry, say it again?
That's the
Owner's
second line.
reserve is the 750,000 owner's reserve is the contingency.
Okay.
And for purposes of showing our under budget, we fully committed it to the project here so you can show we're not giving it away. We're not spending it right now. We're pretending like it's not there. So we're not intending on using it unless we really have to. We've built in enough contingency on other lines that this is a standalone contingency line. If we don't use it, we'll be 1.7 million dollars.
I'm sorry. Is the contingency in the owner's expense there?
The owner's reserve, the second line, that's $750,000 is our contingency on this project. But we also added contingency within the other lines, such as land acquisition and furniture and equipment and other costs.
Individual
that's the
line
main-
items have their
yeah.
own.
That's
That
the main
owner's,
for the whole project.
technically you could call it owner's reserve / contingency.
Yeah, it's okay. The way you're doing it, if that's what's been done,
Yeah.
that's fine. But here's my last observation.
Supervisor, could I just add one thing?
Yes, please.
Because I think it's a helpful clarification to that question. In addition to the owner's reserve, that 750,000, and then those individual contingencies that are baked in the other line items, Gary emphasized this. One of the larger additional contingencies is that tariff-related impact contingency, and that's within the highest item, the construction blue-colored item. That's $500,000. Of that $500,000, we're tracking very low. I think, between.
We
60
expect it to be under 100,000.
Yeah, it's just, we don't want to commit that or reallocate that until we have 100% certainty. And then, as you'll recall, anything north of $500,000, we can virtually, guarantee it's not going to go over $500,000, but that's under our contract with the construction manager, Gilbane. They bear that risk for anything north of $500,000.
Okay, thank you. My last observation, and it's a question, but when you talked about the conference room, is the conference room set up with built-in audio visual features?
Explain,
Yes, sir.
explain to you toured and.
So we actually brought the audiovisual subcontractor through the conference room upstairs and down here to make sure that it is understood how the conference room audiovisual works and how people expect it to work. And we're currently going through some coordination on that to make sure that that's how the audiovisual system will work in this conference room as well.
I asked the question because I heard in a previous presentation that it's intended that this space can potentially be used for rentals outside of the environment. Companies that might want to rent the space, it's in their backyard. And obviously having a solid AV environment will be very valuable to that. So thank you for answering and clarifying that.
Any further questions? Okay,
All right, thank you.
we have a update on the public safety building. There we go. There he is.
Evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My presentation won't be quite as exciting from a photographic standpoint. Maybe a little bit repetitive in the beginning, but please bear with me. So we're going to talk about the Radio Communications Center and the Public Safety Center, the progress at each of those projects. Next slide, please. So first, again, the radio project, the total budget for the radio project is $23 million. And we are implementing it, of course, as stated in the last couple of presentations, because of the outdated and antiquated system that we currently are utilizing for public safety. Go ahead. So the project timeline, as you are all aware, research began in 22 at the request of the county executive for replacement of this aging system. It went to vendor selection. We are currently we selected and are utilizing federal engineering for technical expertise. Actually, we lean on them quite regularly just because this is a very highly technical project. Motorola was awarded the project in May of 24. And then the funding was obviously approved by this board. And then it was launched in the fall of 2024. Next slide, please. So the overview of the system, we've discussed this in the last couple presentations, but Motorola was selected as a vendor using the Wisconsin Public Safety Network, described as WIPSN. It's governmental compliant is what the P25 indicates there. It complies with all government requirements for land mobile radios. It's a digital trunk system, which allows us for substantial expansion of the system, multiple channels to be utilized by the different vendors, much different and much more advanced than our current system. It's a countywide scope. System provides radio communications for law enforcement, fire, EMS, public health, DPW, all of the entities across the entire county. And that obviously will speak to the reliable coordination in emergencies, being on one system that can handle that type of communication load. Next slide, please. So the core areas of the system are obviously the infrastructure, the towers, all the radio equipment that goes with them, the sites, the mobile and portable radios that are required obviously to go on and work effectively with this new system, the staffing required to maintain the system, and the maintenance and updates that actually go into the system itself. Go ahead. So from a budgetary perspective, and I'll try to nip this in the bud right from jump, any questions you might have. So there's the construction piece, and that's the piece, the radio equipment itself. That portion of approximately 30% of the budget. At this point in the project, that's where the bulk of the payments have come in as milestone payments to Motorola as they reach certain milestones and objectives within the project. Those payments are made by the county to Motorola. That is the vast majority of what has been paid to this point. The owner's reserve on the project is $740,000. There have been approximately 9 change orders on this project, and they have all been at a no cost change order. They have been credits to the project itself. And there has been minimal costs at this point for land acquisition and some regulatory things of that nature. But that is where the bulk of the money has been spent, is just in that construction itself. And there has been actually, due to some radio orders and some other things, a substantial credit back to the project, which has been very helpful. Next slide, please. So significant milestones, radio tower site construction modifications, continuation of the training implementation teams and stakeholder meetings. We just had stakeholder and implementation meeting yesterday. We're having those quarterly as we move along in this project. That becomes extremely important to discuss how we're going to operate on the system collectively with all the municipalities and all the different entities that are coming to the table. Although the county owns and maintains the system, we want to be good partners. So the training and implementation and quarterly stakeholder meetings are held in that vein to make sure that we're all on the same page and everybody is in agreement, from public safety and fire to DPW, public health. All those entities are satisfied with the system and how it's operating. We all agree how it should be operated. We've done the microwave design of the actual system. That has been completed and approved. And I'll be going out next week to Nokia, our vendor, with federal engineering to look at the microwave equipment, ensure it's exactly what we have ordered. It meets specs, and it's ready to go. So once they bring it here, we're ready to get up and running with it on the system. And then the hiring process for the radio system administrator. We did recently conduct interviews. My understanding, there has been an offer made, and it does look like we should have a radio administrator on board here within the next few weeks. Next slide, please. So this is just a very basic diagram of the the radio sites and the microwave loop. This system, Whipson, it's a core system. We talked about that. It's going into 2 spur locations within this microwave loop, Ives Grove and the courthouse. That's essentially where the lifeblood of the system comes into our system. And then these are the microwave links throughout the county. This is the loop that it'll be operating on. Go ahead. So our next steps for the radio system implementation, we are continuing construction of the sites themselves, the civil construction. We're working through right now the backup dispatch center, which is going to be located down at the law enforcement center. That's currently being worked on by buildings and facilities, Mike and his staff. And I'd say we're about 75% of the way there. Once we get everything in place from really a functional perspective, from furniture and things of that nature for the county, the next step will be to bring Motorola in with the physical radio equipment and work on the installation of that, so that we're prepared when we make that move. Continue project coordination between radio and public safety center projects. That is, and as I'll discuss in the next update, that's becoming more and more critical, especially as it relates to our Ives Grove Tower. And we're going to be doing utility work here in the near future for our public safety building. So there's a lot of IT coordination and things of that nature that are taking place behind the scenes to make sure there's very limited, if any, disruption to our 911 communications. Technical and functional testing, development of system utilization. We're continuing the quarterly stakeholder meetings and the implementation meetings, and the technical and functional testing of the microwave system. Some of that will be coming in the next 2 quarters of this year. We hope to see in the second, third quarter of this year, we get the system up and we can do that functional testing. And that's where it's been a lift to this point, but I think that's where it's probably the heavy lift is going to come in from a training perspective and just making sure everybody understands how to operate the system and how to maintain the system. But that should be happening in the next, you'll probably be hearing more about that in the next 1 to 2 updates on the radio system itself. Go ahead. So with that, I'll take any questions you might have.
Any questions on the 911 system? Supervisor Rossi.
Thank you, Chairman. Could we go back to the financial slide you had up? Okay, just wanted to clarify, you've got commitments slash costs slash estimates to date. Does that reflect total contracted amount?
Say that again.
The second column, is that total contracted amount?
The owner's reserve?
No, the second column, not the
No.
second row.
No, I added in what we've paid to date and then what we anticipate spending. So to date, we have paid 4.3 million. However, we're sitting on a $13 million invoice that will be due next week for the radios. But I wanted to show that we're not projecting to overspend, we're not projecting to underspend. And then I did want to clarify at a FHR meeting, Supervisor Caprellian asked a question about did we budget for moving costs, and we did. It's included in the other owner costs. So the costs related to to Norway for utilizing the mechanic base space there and any other movement out for temporary housing for staff, for dispatch and for others is included in the budget lines here, was allocated here.
That's for the public safety building.
All right. Excellent. Thank you.
And then to your question earlier, we spent 14.9 million on the behavioral health building.
Supervisor Horth.
Again, I would just like to say thank you to all the department heads that are putting together presentations like this right now. They become very informative and allows us to maybe ask some really properly informed questions too. So thank you, and to thank everybody else that participated in putting these together.
Steve, Mr. Adams. With the sheriff's substation?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can move the slide, please. One more. There you go. So the Public Safety Center, Racine County Public Safety Building, the total budget for that project as it stands today and has been throughout this project is $40 million. Go ahead. So the last time I gave a presentation, I believe Supervisor Trotter said, we really haven't seen anything yet. So we got on the architect and said, you know, we're getting close here. So let's put something together and this is it. So on to my right, and depending on how you're looking at it, is the old patrol station. That'll be completely renovated. And then where you see the Racine County sign, that'll be kind of the connection between the old building and into everything to the west there will be the entire new facility with special operations and fleet buildings. And then that pole barn behind the existing is what sits there today. So that's a basic rendering of what we expect it to look like. Go ahead. Just another view. So the timeline, the board approved the $40 million in 2024. We've been working through the planning and design process aggressively with Gilbane and Ramlo Stein, putting together the design. Site preparation, construction at Ives Groves are scheduled to begin late spring, early summer of 2026, and then the anticipated public safety center turnover to the county is the end of 2027. Go ahead. So as we discussed in the last updates, it's an aging facility. It hasn't fit the sheriff's office needs for several decades, as well as 911 dispatch and emergency service. It'll be an integrated public safety campus, and that'll bring it a centralized hub for the sheriff's office, 911 operations, emergency management. It'll bring together the Racine County Emergency Operations Center. So it'll bring everything somewhat similar to the radio project. It brings everything kind of collectively together to operate as one for greater efficiency and growth. Go ahead. So the core center areas that I just discussed, the sheriff's office, 911 dispatch will be housed there, Racine County Emergency Management, and then the Racine County Emergency Operations Center that'll be utilized in the event of mass events within the county. Go ahead. So this particular on this budget, so you'll see the estimate to date that we've been working with Gilbane and Ramlo Stein and our budget. So as we go down the line items here, you can see the over on the estimates, the top construction overage potential was due to what we discussed before, similar to the behavioral health and anticipation of tariffs and increasing costs. So that's all been factored in as we go down in column 2. You get to the bottom, and at this point, our cost estimates and everything that we've been given to date is within our $40 million budget with coming in under $68,000. Go ahead. So we worked through the completion of the 50% design development estimate. We have obtained zoning permits from the Village of Yorkville to proceed. The completion of the construction design sent to Gilbane for development of bid packages, and that's essentially where we're sitting at right now. Bid packages are been put together. They're getting ready to send out bid packages, with the exception of a few early bid packages that we discussed before. It was, those were sent out as related to the prefab buildings and some electrical things that it was anticipated could possibly, if we waited, just those particular products could take some additional time for a number of reasons, supply chain and others. So we wanted to get in front of that, so those items didn't delay the project overall. But the bulk of the bid items are going to be going out very shortly. And then again, as I spoke to the early bid package release, the precast, the electrical, pre-engineered medical or metal buildings. And then simultaneously, the sheriff's office, more than anything, has been working through that single phase construction. So we need to be out of the building to do this. We realized early on that was a safe cost savings doing it a one phase project. So the sheriff's office is currently moving out and moving into other locations within the county to continue operations so that we can realize those savings by making a one phase project. Go ahead. So this is about as exciting as my photographic evidence will be. This is the patrol station. This is just really, I'm just utilizing this to show you that we are moving out. That is our current garage facility. That is our current evidence room. And that was the SWAT equipment room. And daily, if you go over there daily, it's progressing. So they're going to be out of there completely very shortly. Go ahead. So the next steps, again, implementation of the one-phase construction plan and alternate work sites, that's in process. That's been being worked through for the last month, well, for several months, but really been into play the last month or two. The bid package release and finalization, the final completion of the design development, and then Gilbane's submission of the gross max price to the county. Pre-construction activities, some of that has actually taken place to some degree. We had to get in front of some things as it related to IT and fiber because of the intermix between the 911 center again and the radio system. We had to get in front of that several months ago. So that's actually started to take place. But some of the groundwork and utility, things of that nature, that'll start taking place here in the near future. We have a company coming in next week to walk through our existing building to do an abatement review to see what levels we have in there of what and what's going to be required. And once we get that information, they will come back and eradicate whatever needs to be taken out of that building because of its age. We continue regularly to coordinate between the Motorola team, the Gilbane team, and the Ramlo Stein team. Can't emphasize enough how important that's becoming. I mean, it's important, obviously, but it's really critical. And then we have additional reviews with the state, DOC. DOC has been intimately involved with this. It's a small portion of the new public safety building, but they have been involved from the very front of this, so they're well aware. And then the internal development review with Gilbane and Ramlo Stein to ensure everybody's on the same page. So those have taken place and some are in process. Go ahead. So that pretty much sums it up. We're coming to a point that, as stated earlier, late spring, early summer, we anticipate, barring any issues, having shovels in the ground. And then perhaps my presentations will get a little bit more exciting with more photographs.
Any questions? Supervisor Shakur.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for a fine presentation. Just get right to the chase. Of course, this Public Safety Center, the building infrastructure, 911, patrol station. What type of shelf life is it? I mean, is this 30 years, 50 years that all this infrastructure, this capital expenditure we're doing, how long is that going to last?
So everything that we're doing is being built for growth, but not to an extreme, right? Because there are budgetary concerns. So from a growth perspective, 20, 30 years out for sure. From a building perspective, the same thing. I mean, this is going to be for quite a long time. Some of the building construction itself, we are constrained. We can't, the sky's the limit. Unfortunately, we can't do that because obviously that brings more life to the building depending on what kind of materials you're bringing to the project. But everything we have done has been designed for efficiency, growth, and get the maximum life out of the buildings we possibly can. So you're going to see several decades out of this building.
Thank you.
Supervisor Horth.
Just a quick request. Could we make sure that these PowerPoint presentations are forwarded to us to have a copy of as well? I mean, honestly, I'd like to share this with my backyard in Waterford at our meetings. I mean, show people exactly what we're doing and what we're accomplishing. So very much appreciated. If we could, thank you.
So if you could get those over to Wendy for distribution. Thank you. Any further questions, comments? Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 6, reading of the minutes of the previous meeting, which is automatically waived unless requested by the majority of the members present. Seeing none. Item number 7, resolutions and ordinances referred to committee.
Resolution number 2025-85 by individual supervisors requesting that the entire causeway leading to Racine County's Harbor Park adopt the name of Kippikowie Causeway was referred to the Public Works, Parks, and Facilities Committee.
Item number 8, introductions of resolutions and ordinances for first reading and referral.
Resolution number 2025-90 by Finance and Human Resources Committee establishing the total annual compensation of the Clerk of Courts and County Sheriff for the years 2027, 2028, 2029, and 2030. And resolution number 2025-91 by Finance and Human Resources Committee authorizing a 3-year agreement from 2026 through 2029 with Spectrum for internet services for the Racine Public Health Division for a total of $18,000.
Item number 9, communications and claims.
Item number 1, official proclamation regarding Fair Housing Week from County Executive Ralph Malicki.
Item number 1 is received and filed in the county clerk's office.
Number 2, letter from F3 Marina regarding concerns of proposed renaming of Christopher Columbus Causeway from Reef Point Marina.
Item number 2 is referred to the Public Works, Parks, and Facilities Committee.
Number 3, letter regarding pending application for proposed culvert located on an unnamed waterway, WBIC 7800 in the southwest quarter, southeast quarter, section 17, township 4 north, range 23 east in the village of Caledonia, Racine County. Number 4, resolution requesting the Wisconsin Counties Association to lobby the state legislature and governor on legislation for greater local control for Wisconsin counties from Wood County. Number 5, resolution regarding an amended relocation order in the village of Caledonia affecting property along the Turtle Creek between Middle Road and the Klima Ditch as part of the Turtle Creek Restoration Project in section 17, range 23 in the village of Caledonia, Racine County, Wisconsin, from the village of Caledonia. Number 6, notice that the Agricultural Impact Statement Program has published the AIS 4625 for the transmission line project in the city of Oak Creek in Milwaukee County and in the city of Racine and villages of Mount Pleasant and Caledonia and Racine County, Wisconsin by the American Transmission Company from the Department of Agricultural Trade and Consumer Protection. And number 7, resolution requesting Wisconsin Counties Association lobby state legislature and governor on legislation for greater local control for Wisconsin counties from Green Lake County.
Items number 3 through 7 are referred to the Economic Development and Land Use Planning Committee.
Number 8, resolution urging legislative action to address county funding challenges under Wisconsin's tax levy freeze from Vilas County. And number 9, resolution supporting Wisconsin establishing a membership with the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center, known as MS-ISAC, from Sawyer County.
Items number 8 and 9 are referred to the Finance and Human Resources Committee.
Number 10 is a claim against the county. Numbers 11 and 12 are foreclosures of mortgages. And numbers 13 through 29 are notifications from the United States Bankruptcy Court.
So items number 10 through 29 are referred to Finance and Human Resources Committee and Corporation Council.
Any requests for copies? Supervisor Coleman.
Thank you, Chairman. 4, 6, 7, 10.
Supervisor Kolb.
Copies of 2, 3, 5, and 6.
Supervisor Varant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Copies of number 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Supervisor Horth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Request copies 2 through 7.
Supervisor McReynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Copy of number 10, please.
Supervisor Rossi.
You can Chairman, 2 through 4 and then 7 through 9.
Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 8 and 10, please.
And I would like 3, 9, and 10. And Supervisor Trottier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Number 2, please.
Supervisor Shakur. Supervisor Hoffman.
Thank you. 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Any further requests? Seeing none, we'll move on. Communications from the county executive.
There are none.
Standing committee reports containing recommendations on items referred.
There are no reports.
Second reading of resolutions and ordinances.
Under majority vote, we have resolution number 2025-82 by Finance and Human Resources Committee denying the claim of Robert Robinson. Resolution number 2025-83 by Finance and Human Resources Committee denying the property damage claim of Michael Zorner. Resolution number 2025-84 by Finance and Human Resources Committee denying the property damage claim of Deontay Coney. Resolution number 2025-86 by Public Works, Parks and Facilities Committee authorizing the participation in the Department of Natural Resources Municipal Dam Grant Program. Resolution number 2025-87 by Public Works, Parks and Facilities Committee directing the repair of an at-grade crossing with County Highway K and CPKC Railroad. Resolution number 2025-88 by Public Works, Parks and Facilities Committee directing the repair of an at-grade crossing with County Highway C and CPKC Railroad. And resolution number 2025-89 by Public Works, Parks and Facilities Committee directing the repair of an at-grade crossing with County Highway C and the Union Pacific Railroad.
Motion's been made and seconded. Supervisor Trottier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In regards to resolutions 2025, 82, 83, and 84, please refer to Corp Counsel to obtain any additional information.
Supervisor Hopkins.
So in regards to resolution 225, 86 by Public Works and Facilities Committee, this is for the repair and reconstruction of the Rochester Dam with a 50-50 match between state and county at upwards of $2 million. And then we have 225, 87, 225, 88, and 225, 89. These in all regards to directing the respective railroad authorities to engage in these various repairs. All resolutions was unanimously approved by the county, by the committee, Public Works Committee.
Any questions? I do have one for the director on the dam. I was just wondering what kind of dam work are we going to be doing out on Rochester?
Well, basically, it's the whole center part of the dam is what needs to be replaced. It's starting to fail. We picked that up in our inspection that we had this fall, and so we originally knew there was going to be work to be done with this. We weren't sure the extent of it because the inspection wasn't complete at the time. So during this budget, we allocated $750,000 for that repair work. It looks like it's going to be upwards towards that. So we decided we're going to apply for this grant. Actually, we just found out about this grant, which is upwards up to $1 million is what that grant is for, but it's a 50-50 split. So to get that $1 million, you'd have to spend $2 million for it. To get $500,000, you'd have to spend $1 million for it. So that's what this grant encompasses.
Then the cost estimate's about $750 at this time?
Correct.
Okay. Any further questions? Supervisor Trottier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make a comment. thank you so much for taking care of the two railroad crossings I consistently drive over, and you and I have talked about for maybe the last 12 months. Thank you for the pressure you put on the railroads people to repair those those tracks, those crossings. Thank you.
Any further questions, comments? So we have a motion and a second to approve. This will be a voice majority vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
Next, under 2/3 majority vote, we have resolution number 2025-81 by Finance and Human Resources Committee authorizing the acceptance of a Wisconsin Department of Health Services grant in the amount of $142,744 and transfer of funds within the Human Resources Department 2026 budget.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Supervisor Trotter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In regards to resolution 2025-81, it pertains to a grant from DHS for room and board costs for Medicaid members with an opioid use disorder or at risk for opioid overdose. The dollar amount for 2025 was $24,483. In 2026, this increased significantly to $142,744. Our county has been receiving this grant since 2022. Hats off. Great job, Racine County. And I have Hope and Yelena here to answer any questions in regards to this $142,744 grant.
Are there any questions? I do have one. This, so these funds currently are being used at facilities that have this capability, is that correct?
Correct.
When our building gets done, does that mean these funds could be used to offset our costs?
Absolutely.
Excellent. So we're saving some money.
Good job on staying us up, Chairman.
Thank you.
Oh, we had a motion. We had a motion.
We have a first and a second.
We have a first and second. It was
Second.
it was Supervisor Shakur and Trotter.
Yep.
Any further questions? This is a 2/3 majority vote, so if we could get the my glasses on. See. Everybody sign in. Stuck. We got to try again. Reset that. Please reset that. It was like all of a sudden nothing. Okay, let's sign in. Or not, there we go. There we go. All right. Okay. Supervisor Wish.
More confirmed. There we go. There we go.
All right.
We can move forward. Supervisor Miller.
Aye.
Thank you. All have voted and motion carries unanimously.
Item number 13, reconsideration of resolutions and ordinances from previous meetings and or actions on vetoes.
There are no items.
Item number 14, reconsideration and and of notice of intent to reconsider resolutions and ordinances.
There is no notice.
Informational reports.
Report number 2025-63 by Finance and Human Resources Committee submitting annual emergency procurement report for the year 2025 by the Racine County Purchasing Manager.
Item number 16, miscellaneous business announcement and oral reports. Supervisor Coleman.
Well, I just wanted to say, I just had the weekend of celebrating my daughter's 21st golden birthday. So happy birthday, baby. And also, I have some paperwork that I want all of my supervisors to look at with an email to follow after I have the appropriate conversations. But if you guys could just grab this paperwork that I have, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Supervisor Caprellian.
Thank you. Thank you, Government Services Committee. We successfully went through the youth and governance applications and interview process. Thanks for your dedication with that. And it will be exciting for all of us to partake in the end of the last cohort's service project and their graduation from the program. That'll be coming up in April. Do you remember the date, Chairman Kramer?
The graduation would be the the second Tuesday,
Okay,
and then
yeah.
that's where we kind of change change a handoff from one year to the next. So.
Yeah, it'll be great. And so one thing else I will announce, Government Services, put on your calendars, we are not meeting the first Thursday in March, but it will be March 10th as a committee meeting with finance. So that is Tuesday before the county board, and it'll be in this room. So March 10th at 5 o'clock, yes.
Any further information? We are adjourned. Thank you.